This is an analysis from Alpha Business Media. Welcome. Today, we're going to dissect the sophisticated and honestly often misunderstood psychology of Nepal's most elusive consumers, what we call the quiet wealth. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with a real-world problem by looking at two very different types of buyers. Then we'll get into the psychology behind them and build our way toward a clear, actionable strategy for any brand that really wants to win at the top of the market. All right, let's dive right in. To really wrap our heads around the big challenge facing luxury brands in Nepal, you just need to imagine two very different purchases, both happening on the same day in Kathmandu. So in our first scene, you've got a young, up-and-coming entrepreneur. He's just landed a huge deal. He walks into a high-end car showroom, really haggles on the price of a brand-new luxury SUV. And what's the very first thing he does? He whips out his phone and posts a picture of it all over social media. The purchase itself, it's a performance. It's designed to be seen, to get that social validation. Now, let's completely switch gears. A few hours later, the showrooms close for the day. Someone from a well-known multi-generational business family shows up for a private viewing of a limited edition car. There is zero haggling. The whole conversation is about the craftsmanship, the custom details, and making absolutely sure that the delivery is completely, 100% discreet. You see, for this buyer, the purchase is an act of personal enjoyment. Privacy, that's the real luxury here. So those two buyers? They're not just different customers with different tastes. They represent a huge split in Nepal's wealthy class, a great divergence that, frankly, most brands just don't see. And not seeing it leads to some very expensive mistakes. On one side, you have the new rich. This is often first-generation wealth. And because their social status is new, the main thing driving them is social signaling. They're using brands like a language, a way to announce to the world, I've arrived. This makes them super status aware, and here's the paradox, it also makes them very sensitive to price. Getting that discount, that's part of the win for them. And then, in total contrast, you have the quiet wealth, or what some people call old money. We're talking about multi-generational capital here. Their social standing is already secure, it doesn't need a billboard. So their main driver is discretion. They buy things for personal fulfillment, for the quality, for the story behind it. And here's the real kicker. For this group, mass appeal isn't a good thing. It's an instant turnoff. So here's the most crucial point. And if you take one thing away, let it be this. When you put these two groups side by side, you see they aren't just two market segments. They are two completely opposing value systems. The new rich are all about the transaction, the price, the signal. Old money, they're about the relationship, the value, the discretion. You absolutely cannot target both with the same strategy. It just won't work. And once you understand this deep psychological split, it suddenly becomes crystal clear why one of the most common marketing tactics out there, the discount, is so incredibly destructive in the world of true luxury. It's a paradox that trips up so many marketers. Which leads us to a really critical question. What is the single most expensive mistake a luxury brand can possibly make in a market like Nepal's? Well, the answer isn't a bad ad campaign. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of how your most valuable customers actually think about price. This quote right here, it says it all. For the quiet wealth, a high price isn't an obstacle you need to overcome with a discount. No, the price is the filter. It's what signals exclusivity. It's what says, this is not for everyone. So a discount doesn't feel like a bargain to them. It feels like desperation. It signals that the brand's exclusive status is crumbling. There's actually an economic term for this, Veblen goods. It describes a strange class of items where demand actually goes up as the price goes up. But why? It's because that high price is a core feature of the product. It's what makes it so desirable in the first place. Imagine a top-tier luxury watch suddenly went on sale. Its whole mystique would just evaporate. So, think about what happens when a luxury brand offers a big festival discount. It's sending a whole cascade of negative signals to its best potential clients. First, it suggests the original price was just made up. Second, it lowers the barrier to entry, which floods the brand with exactly the crowd the quiet wealth is trying to get away from. At the end of the day, you're trading your brand's future for a quick sales spike from an audience that was never loyal to begin with. Okay, so if traditional marketing tactics like discounts actually hurt your brand, what's the alternative? Well, the answer is to stop marketing and start curating. This is what we call the invite-only model. It's about building an architecture of true exclusivity. An effective strategy here is built on three core ideas that completely replace the megaphone of mass advertising with the quiet whisper of a trusted introduction. It means you stop looking at demographics and start mapping social networks. Your salesperson becomes more of a personal concierge, and you create legendary, private unveiling events instead of big public launches. All right, let's bring this all home and talk about the critical decision this leads to. As wealth continues to grow and concentrate in Nepal, the strategic choices brands are making right now are going to define who leads the market for the next 10 years and beyond. Really, brands are facing a very stark choice. You have scenario A, the crowded middle. That's where you're chasing the highly visible new wealth with constant discounts, which just leads to brutal competition and paper-thin margins. Or there's scenario B, the great bifurcation. This is where you pivot to capture the quiet wealth, using discretion and impeccable service to build an unassailable brand that operates on a totally different level. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. You cannot force your way into this world with a bigger marketing budget. The hard truth is that the quiet wealth segment operates like a social ecosystem, and access isn't bought with ads, it is earned, very patiently, through trust, through discretion, and through a deep fundamental shift in your company's culture. You have to move from just selling things to actually building relationships. Now, for the very few brands who are willing to play that long game, the rewards are absolutely immense. But for everyone else, the most valuable market in Nepal will remain completely invisible.